weren't. $100 for the garden, $150 for noise violations.
We are not just
They
tenants.
stacked quickly,
We are a
arriving
community.
faster than I could pay
They
them.
accused me of damaging
and with each
community
fine
harmony
came a
by
threat.
refusing to comply.
Failure to resolve these
I walked
issues
into
may
that
result
meeting
in a
with my heart
lien
pounding,
on your
but my
property.
head clear.
That's when I
I
realized
wasn't just
this
bringing
wasn't
words
just
this
nitpicking.
time.
This was
bringing
targeted
evidence.
harassment.
With all
It
this
wasn't
evidence,
about
Daniel,
rules.
we have a very
It was about
strong
control. At meetings, I tried to defend myself.
These violation letters are not just about rules.
I walked
They're
into
about
that result
fairness
in a
and
lean
respect
change.
for our
my
community.
head clear. That's when I realized
But the board
had
had
kept
kept
every
in
letter,
silence,
every fine,
faces
every
like
notice.
stone.
I had taken
While the
photos of my
president
yard,
wielded
my
his
garden,
gavel
my
like a
dog,
weapon.
my trash bins.
Every time
I
I
had spoken
spoke,
with other
he cut me
homeowners
off,
and gathered their
twisting my
stories
words
of
into
harassment
evidence
and
of
non-compliance
intimidation.
neighbors.
And most importantly,
who once waved
I had
at
an
me now
attorney by my
whispered,
side,
unwilling
when they tried
to
to
get
silence
involved.
me, I didn't
The
stop
isolation
speaking.
was
When
suffocating.
they waved their gavel, I
Every
placed my
time I
evidence on
walked
the table.
outside, I felt
When they
eyes on
threatened me with legal
Neighbors
action,
peeking
my
through
attorney
blinds.
reminded them of the
Board
law
members
and how
slowing their
badly they had
cars
been
as they passed
violating
my
it.
house.
Then came the
My
moment
home,
that changed
once a
everything.
sanctuary,
We presented
now felt
proof
like
of
a prison
financial
where every
mismanagement,
move was monitored.
inflated invoices.
One day
missing
I came
receipts,
home to find a notice
and
taped to
funds
my
that
door.
had simply disappeared. The president's face went pale. The once smug board members shifted uncomfortably
Final
in their
warning.
chairs.
Failure to bring your
The
property
room
into
once
compliance
filled with
will
whispers
result in legal
went
action.
silent. That was the
Neighbors
moment I
stared,
knew I couldn't just
realizing
endure
for
this
the first
anymore.
time that the
If
rules
I
they
kept
had been
playing
forced to
defense,
obey
they would
weren't
bury
about
me in
order or
fines and
community
threats
at all.
until I had no choice
They were
but to
about
sell.
lining pockets.
They wanted me
The
gone.
gavel that had silenced
But I
so
wasn't
many now
leaving.
fell with no power.
And if they wanted a fight,
the board was cornered.
they were going to get one.
And for the first time,
The board called
I
for a
wasn't the one
special
on
meeting.
trial.
The
They
agenda?
were.
The court
My
case
property.
that followed exposed
By
everything.
then, the fines
the
had
judge
piled
ordered
into
an
thousands
independent
of
audit,
dollars,
and the
the
results
board
were
claimed my
damning.
violations were
Years of
ongoing,
corruption, even when I
misuse
had
of
proof they
funds,
weren't, and abuse of power,
These
all
violations
laid
and
bare
letters
for
are an
everyone
abuse
to
of
see.
power.
The president
not just
resigned in
tenants.
disgrace.
We are a
Two
community.
board members followed. They accused me
For
of
the first
damaging
time in
community
years,
harmony
the neighborhood
by
had a
refusing
chance
to
to
comply.
breathe.
We
I walked
elected
into
new
that
leadership
leadership
with my heart
people who
pounding,
cared
but my
about
head
fairness
clear.
and transparency.
I wasn't just bringing words
Notices
this time.
turned
I was
into
bringing
conversations.
conversations.
With all this
Fines were
evidence,
replaced with
Daniel, we have a
cooperation.
very strong
Slowly,
case.
the tension that had poisoned our community began to lift. My garden, once the symbol of my rebellion, became a source of pride
We
for
need
the
change.
neighborhood. Neighbors who had once avoided me now
I had
stopped
kept
to
every
talk.
letter, every fine,
Some
every
even
notice.
apologizing for
I had
not
taken
speaking
photos
up
of my
sooner.
yard, my garden,
We
my
rebuilt
trash
not
bins.
just trust,
I had spoken with
but
other
community.
homeowners and gathered their
But
stories
the greatest
of
change
harassment
was within
and
me.
intimidation.
I learned
most
that power only
importantly,
works when people
I
are
had
too
an attorney
afraid
by
to
my-
question
When
it.
they tried to silence me,
I
I
learned
didn't
that
stop
silence
speaking.
feeds
When they
bullies.
waved their gavel,
And
I
I
placed
learned
my
that
evidence
one
on the
person's
table.
refusal to
When they
back
threatened me
down
with legal
can
action,
shift an
my
entire
attorney
balance
reminded
of
them of the
power.
law.
Looking back,
and how
I wonder,
badly they had been
what if I had
violating
sold
it.
my home?
Then came
What
the
if I
moment
had given
that
in?
changed everything.
What if I had let them
We
win?
presented proof of
But I
financial
didn't.
mismanagement.
I fought back.
Inflated
And
invoices,
that fight
missing
didn't just
receipts,
protect my home.
and funds
It
that had simply
transformed my
disappeared.
neighborhood. So
The
the next
president's
time you
face
see a
went
rule that
pale.
makes no sense,
The once
or a leader
smug
who
board
abuses
members
their
shifted
power,
uncomfortably
ask
in their
yourself,
chairs.
what if I fought
The room
back?
once filled with whispers.
Because home isn't a HOA. They welcomed me with a generic letter, introduced themselves as the guardians of community standards, and provided a handbook full of rules. At the time, it seemed harmless. I flipped through the booklet, saw guidelines about lawn care, fence heights, even curtain colors. Strict, yes, but I thought surely nobody actually enforces all this. I tucked the handbook away in a drawer and forgot about it. But rules are never just about the paper they're printed on. They're about who enforces them and why. And in this neighborhood, I was about to learn just how far those in power were willing to go. It started small. A notice slipped into my mailbox. Your grass appears slightly above acceptable length. I laughed when I read it. My grass wasn't long at all, barely more than an inch higher than my neighbor's. Still, the wording felt cold, more like a warning than a suggestion. I told myself it was nothing. That would be the last time. But I was wrong. That letter wasn't an isolated reminder. It was the first move in a much bigger game, a game where the board was my own property, and I had no idea how far it would go. The next few weeks brought more letters, each one sharper, colder, and more demanding than the last. Your trash bin was visible from the street for 12 hours beyond pickup time. Your garden exceeds the allowed number of visible plant varieties. Your dog's barking has generated complaints from neighbors. At first, I tried to comply. I tucked the trash bin behind the fence the moment pickup was over. I trimmed my plants down to an uninspired, lifeless patch. I even kept my dog inside more often, though he hardly barked more than any other dog on the block. But no matter what I did, the letters didn't stop. Then came the fines. $50 for the trash bin, $100 for the garden, $150 for noise violations. They stacked quickly, arriving faster than I could pay them. And with each fine came a threat. Failure to resolve these issues may result in a lien on your property. That's when I realized this wasn't just nitpicking. This was targeted harassment. It wasn't about rules. It was about control. At meetings, I tried to defend myself.
These violation letters are not just about rules. They are about fairness and respect for our community.
But the board sat in silence, faces like stone, while the president wielded his gavel like a weapon. Every time I spoke, he cut me off, twisting my words into evidence of non-compliance neighbors who once waved at me now whispered, unwilling to get involved. The isolation was suffocating. Every time I walked outside, I felt eyes on me, neighbors peeking through blinds, board members slowing their cars as they passed my house. My home, once a sanctuary, now felt like a prison where every move was monitored. One day I came home to find a notice taped to my door. Final warning: failure to bring your property into compliance will result in legal action. That was the moment I knew I couldn't just endure this anymore.